Welcome back, guys. Before I get into anything, once again, I know I keep saying this, thank you all for all the love and the support on the channel. It's great, it means a lot to me. But back to what the video is about. The S2K. She keeps getting worse. We have a potential bad head gasket. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but if I bring you down in here, right up against the block in the cylinder head, we are leaking. We're leaking coolant, and it's at operating temperature. What I'm going to try before I do anything drastic is I'm going to pull the cams out right now, and I'm going to go ahead and try to retorque the head to proper torque specs and see if any of them move. If not, then I know that it's a bad head gasket. If they move a little bit, then that gives me a little bit of hope, but I'm not holding my breath. So I've got everything set to TDC currently. You got top dead center. And the way that these work is quite a bit different than what I'm used to. So you have two lines on your camshafts that are supposed to meet up with each other. You've got one line that meets up with the top of the timing case, and then you have one line on your actual crank pulley that meets up with the bottom of that arrow. So I'm going to go ahead, unbolt the cams real quick while it's at TDC, pull everything off, and check torque. I'll get back to you once the cams are off. These are, hold on, sorry. These are important to remember the order of. So they are numbered and labeled and everything, but also what I would do is I've already taken a picture, but these are going to be important because that's how you actually snug up your valve cover and seat it and keep it intact. So, and make sure those go back exactly where they came from, or else you're not going to have a good time. So, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go ahead, pull the cams off, and go through the torque sequence. So at this point, I'm ready to pull those cams out. What I did was find a torque sequence, and I'll put that up on the screen. That'll show you the sequence in which you torque the cams and the cam towers. Essentially what I did was I broke them loose backwards from the torque sequence, just to kind of help with flex. A lot of things, if they bind or if they flex, you can risk cracking or warping. So that's why I did it that way. I broke them all loose by hand first, and then I went through and took them off with my impact. And now we're gonna go ahead, pull the cams off. And then they also have cam seats that look almost identical to the cam's towers. I'm not a big Honda guy. I don't know much about them. You guys probably know more than I do. So if I say something wrong, by all means correct me, or let me know if I'm doing something wrong, and then I would love to know the correct way to do it as well. So just a little tidbit there. But what I'm going to do now, take these cams off. They're pretty much just sitting on there. I've got a rag back here that I'm putting everything on, at least everything important, and that's where it'll stay till I can clean them up and reassemble everything. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those off, pull the lower cam towers off, and take a look, try torquing things up, and hopefully they work. Say hi, monkey. So we've gotten those cam towers off, along with I don't know what you call them, rockers. And sorry, I don't know anything about this car. We're gonna go ahead and retorque the head. Hopefully it works. I guess there's, yeah. Tell me what you think. we are going to retorque the head. I'm going to look up torque specs real quick. That way I can make sure we're doing it exactly to manufacturer's specification and go from there. Hopefully they move. If they don't move, then I'm tearing everything apart. And well, guys, we went ahead, torqued the head. We went ahead and torqued the headed, and it's finished heading. We went ahead, torqued the head, and now it's back together. It runs. Still have a leak, but there's good news and there's bad news. Good news is it's not the head. Bad news is it's underneath the intake manifold, and it seems like it's going to be quite the pain to undo. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that. I've got a new intake manifold gasket ordered from Honda. I believe it's actually the intake manifold itself. Coolant runs through these intake manifolds, which is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Sorry. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take it apart and hopefully identify exactly where it's leaking from. There was one other person on YouTube who had the exact same issue I am having, and I can't remember the name of the channel right now, but we are going to go ahead, pull it apart, and hopefully find the problem.
Hi.
Quite the outfit you got on.
Yep.
You going for a run?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. I'm right here, hanging out with you. Look at all the coolant on the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's all over.
We just cleaned it too.
I know.
Well, she's definitely leaking from that intake manifold gasket. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I took the upper bolts off already, and now it's leaking from up here. It was leaking from the bottom, but this just now confirms that that gasket is either A, not snug, because you guys aren't going to be able to see it, but down back behind this hose right here, there is one more bolt on the intake manifold, and it's about an 1/8 inch away from even touching the intake manifold. So I'm going to start with trying to just snug them up. If it still continues to leak, I'll have that gasket and we can replace it, and that'll be fun, since we just spent the past half hour bleeding the cooling system.
It has a heater now.
It does have a heater now, and the fans come back on, so that's good.
It did die.
It did.
We took it for a spinneroozy, and she died. She was not happy, probably because it had a huge leak.
A vacuum
Pressure
leak?
leak.
Vacuum.
Vacuum.
There's
pressure.
no pressure.
There's no pressure.
There's negative pressure.
Well, negative pressure. It wasn't. It was sucking too much air.
She didn't. She sucked too much.
She sucks too much. She's sucking. She sucks too much.
So, yeah, I don't know where I was going.
That's it.
I had a train of thought and it left without me.
And it left when I said it. She sucks.
Okay, so a little update here. I was able to get the intake manifold tightened. I haven't brought it up to operating temperature since. So we are gonna go ahead, just watch this, make sure it doesn't leak anymore. All those bolts are on there and they are all tight now. I am probably gonna do a once over really quick, just to make sure all the bottom ones are tight, because that one was pretty dang loose. It was loose enough I could move it with my fingers. So do that, and then we will get it up to operating temperature and see if she leaks. Then after that, we've got more stuff for the S2K. Some sensors that we needed to hopefully get ABS and power steering fixed. I need one more. I'm looking for a driver's front. So if you guys know of anybody selling one used at a decent price, let me know. I would love to get my hands on one. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead, do what I said, and get on with it. Well guys, she is no longer leaking. other than the funky idle because of the air pump code, which we will be taking care of, just haven't had the time to do so yet because I've been working through other issues. She's running pretty good. I will have to do a valve adjustment on it since I pulled everything off. I have yet to actually ever do a valve adjustment, so that'll probably be next step in getting this thing running as optimal as possible. But yeah, not too bad. She's running good now. I will replace those coil pack plugs, and that'll get rid of our misfire code as well. But other than the high idle right now, she's doing okay. Now that she is up to operating temperature and I don't think I see any more leaks, what I'm gonna do, set her on my fresh concrete that hasn't been totally obliterated. A lot of that's degreaser, but a lot of it is also cooling. And just make sure she's not leaking, just let her sit for a bit. And then after, I'm gonna go ahead and wash the engine bay so I don't smell any more of the coolant and oil burning off from when I disassembled the head and bled the cooling system. So that's what we're doing at this very moment. And then I do need to pull the clutch master cylinder because I don't know if I showed you this actually, but it is leaking, and it's leaking internally onto the car mat from up in there, right by, literally right as it comes out through the firewall. There's a seal on side. Actually, let me break out the new one and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about so you know what to look for. So this is your clutch master cylinder on the S2K, and if you look right in there, there's a seal that goes around the inside of that, and what that has done is it's corroded away and now it's just dripping into the cabin, and it doesn't smell very good. It's not pleasant to look at, and if you're not careful, it will eat away metal and paint. It'll cause it to corrode, and we don't want that to happen. So we're gonna go ahead and switch this out. Pretty straightforward, 2 bolts. I'm gonna charge my light so when I hop up in there, I can show you exactly what I'm doing. It's pretty simple. It's just kind of claustrophobia inducing. Maybe that's what I'm looking for, but you get the point. So I decided to do this on the iPhone because it picks it up just a little bit better than the GoPro does. So there's a little pin in the side of your clutch pedal right here. And then you got 2, I believe they're 12 millimeters that actually hold the clutch master cylinder in. And then once you get that pin out, this will move on its own, and you can undo those and just push it straight through the firewall. So what I'm trying to do now is there's that little pin I was talking about, and it won't focus on it, but it's right behind that part of the harness. What you got to do is just pop it out. I'll show you once I get it out what it looks like, but this isn't going to focus. And now that we've gotten it out, that's what it looks like. It's just a bolt essentially with no threads that's got a hole through it, and then a set for a cotter pin. I don't believe this is factory. I think the factory one is brass, but this is what we have to work with. Also, one little tip, before I pull this off, I am going to break that nut loose. That way I'm not fighting it once it is actually out of the firewall, because sometimes it can be a bit tough to hold it and try and break that bolt loose at the same time. The rest of this is going to be exactly like any other clutch master cylinder job. We've done this on the Datsun quite a few times, so I'm fairly familiar with what I'm doing. Also, one more thing is I'm going to put a rag underneath it because I don't want this on the paint. It'll probably get on the paint regardless, but what I'm going to do is keep as much of it to the rag as possible, and then when I clean the engine bay, like I said, I'll make sure to scrub to really get into the spot that I am going to be spilling a bunch of brake fluid into, because it's corrosive, like I said. So now that Paisley and I have got this off, we are going to go ahead and adjust the length of it. You say hi? We want these to be as close as possible. That way when we put it back on, the clutch throw matches as close as it possibly can. That's a big problem with the Datsun's aftermarket clutch master cylinders, is the rods that they come with don't usually have enough rod or adjustment to get the throw right. So you end up having to reuse the rod. So I've gone ahead, I let it sit overnight. I test drove it. I ran it a little bit hard, just enough to get things hot. And we have no leaks, which is great news, because I was starting to think that this car was just gonna keep giving me hell. And we finally got something fixed on it. So that's definitely a bonus. I've got some parts I gotta take back. Other than that, I think that's where I'm gonna end this video.
Oh boy.
It might be a little loud currently, sorry. I was editing this video and realized I hadn't closed it out, so.
Close it out.
Yeah. We are at 618 currently for our subscriber count, so thank you all very much for that. We just picked up a soft top for the S2K, so hopefully we get that installed soon. We just